Welcome to the FMA 2015 annual conference. This is a special conference because we're holding this conference jointly with ASFPM's Arid Regions Committee, so that's nice. We get to do that every few years, and it always is a lot of fun. I'm Tom Plummer. I'm the chair of FMA, and one of the great joys of being the chair is you get to give the bathrooms are over there speech, which is what this is. The bathrooms are at the end of this building, this direction. Also, we think it would be a horrible tragedy if in the papers tomorrow it said, flood risk managers panic. So in the case of an emergency, you got lots of exit doors you can see. Probably the easiest ones are to egress the building in this direction. So it is my joy, again this year, to get to introduce you to a new executive director. Mary Seitz has been with FMA for a number of years, and it was time for her to step up and become executive director, which we've done. So Mary, stand up. So one of the things we do with our conference is we always start it as a kind of a ceremonial thing. The executive director will start the conference by banging the gavel. Mary's the new executive director, so she gets a brand new gavel. So here you go, Mary, step up.
With a brand new gavel, no less. Well, I'm so excited to be here. I will probably stumble over my words because my excitement comes out. I have a hard time keeping it in, but it's such a delight to be able to be here, to see all of you here and all the friendly faces that are out there. So without further ado, I call this conference to order. Thank you for such a warm welcome. Now that I can share with you, I'll put my glasses on. I too wanted to let you know the Arid Regions track in our program. Everything that is Arid Regions related is highlighted in blue, in case you were wondering why there are some that have colors and some don't. That's just to help you be a little bit more organized in the program. So when you see that, you know it's an Arid Regions tracked item. I hope that everyone takes advantage of all the opportunities here for networking, for supporting our vendors and exhibitors and sponsors. There are so many fabulous people here. The talent in this room just humbles me. You are a very knowledgeable, talented group, and I hope that you really do connect this week, that you learn something new, that you meet new people, and that you've really been able to grow yourself in your profession this week. A little side note. FMA is trying to move forward with the rest of the world into social media, and as such, we have a LinkedIn site now, we have a YouTube channel, and we have a couple of hashtags out there for this week. So any of you that are social media gurus, we would love it if you would go visit our photo booth, take your selfies, take your groupies, and put it out there. The two hashtags you'll see, they're on the photo booth backdrop. But one of them is hashtag FMA 2015. The other one is hashtag breaking down risk. So we'd love to encourage you to do that. We also now have a Facebook site. I don't think I mentioned that one. But all these are just brand new, getting off the ground as of like last week. So if you could find us, like us, help us, we'll get some posts out there to you and get you some good information. Next, and I'll try not to take up too much time with just announcements, but we would love to publish you in our newsletter. If you're presenting this week and feel so inclined, would you write an article and submit it to me, and we'll get it in one of our upcoming newsletters. If you're not presenting and you would like to be in the newsletter, approach me. Write an article, and we'll see where we can get it to fit in. So we can, again, have another way to connect you up with the membership here and get your knowledge and your talent out there in front of some people. Projects you're working on. Elizabeth and Sarah are not in here, but I want to let you know Elizabeth and Sarah are the two ladies that help you register at the registration desk, and they will be happy to help you. If you have any questions about logistics, where to go, what to do, they're the ones to go to. It's Elizabeth and Sarah. I look forward to getting to know more of you. It's been great. I've gotten to meet a lot of new people already. But at this point, I would like to introduce to you our welcome speaker. Michelle Diamond has served as Supervisor John Benoit's Chief of Staff for 5 years and witnessed during that time some intense floods in the Coachella Valley. In her prior life, she was a journalist and worked for the Associated Press at bureaus across the country and covered a few floods during that time. In 1995, she was called on to travel to Central California, where her stories of Bessie, the stranded cow, and other flood disasters from the farms in that region went national. Would you please join me in welcoming Michelle Diamond?
Good morning, and thank you very much, Mary. I'm very honored to be here in the place of Supervisor John Benoit. As you can imagine, a supervisor for a county of this size is called on to do a lot of things. And he sends his regrets. He is in Riverside as we speak at his regular meeting of the Riverside County Transportation Commission, and unfortunately was not able to join us here today, but he wishes you all the best, and he's very thrilled that your organization is holding its annual gathering here in the Coachella Valley. Let me tell you a little bit about Riverside County for those of you who are not familiar with our area. We are the 4th largest county in California, and we're now the 10th largest county in the entire country. We have a population of more than 2.3 million residents, and we have huge growth going on currently and anticipated, especially in this eastern part of the county right now. There's a lot of dynamic things happening out here. We're the home to a lot of world-class attractions, many of which I imagine you're familiar with: Coachella, Stagecoach, some of the big music festivals, the Palm Springs International Film Festival, the BNP Paribas tennis tournament, and a host of other really tremendous events that we hope that you get a chance to enjoy our beautiful Coachella Valley and the lovely city of Rancho Mirage, where you are right now, and get a taste of some of the things that we have to offer here. As Mary mentioned, I don't come from a scientific background by any stretch. I, in my previous life, was a journalist and spent time on occasion covering floods, which were some of the most challenging natural disasters for journalists to cover, because unlike a tornado, which comes and goes and then you cover the aftermath, the flood continues and continues and continues, and you're not always able to anticipate where it's going. And in 1995, some of you may be familiar with the very high-profile floods of Central California that I was dispatched out of. I was working in Las Vegas at the time and dispatched from there to go into Central California and cover those floods, really through a lot of the agriculture part of California, and it's a beautiful farming area that was just devastated. And there was one particular farm where there was a cow that everybody named Bessie, and the poor thing got stranded on this just little small hill out there. They had been able to get all the other cattle off to safe areas, but Bessie unfortunately was stranded on this little hill, and so everybody was trying to find ways to help her. You couldn't really move her off the hill. What do you do when you're surrounded by all this water and this cow's there? But they were bringing her fresh food and fresh water and so on, and that became this quirky little story that went national, and I have family across the country, and you know, I thought I'd covered lots of really high-profile, important events at that point in my career, but the one story that everybody heard and everybody thought was so exciting was poor Bessie the cow on the little hill. And the picture went out all across the country of Bessie the cow. And I was on the radio talking about Bessie the cow, and you know, great thing who was in her 80s back in Iowa. Remember, oh, that was Michelle talking about Bessie the cow and floods. Never mind all the dignitaries and all the important famous people I'd interviewed. Bessie was the story that stuck. The supervisor actually has a much more policy-based background in floods than I do. And he worked in our state legislature as an assemblyman for 6 years, and then he was also in the state senate before he got appointed by Governor Schwarzenegger to come to this job. And so in that time, he certainly became very well aware of a lot of the outstanding work that all of you do, and he met with a lot of professional floodplain managers, engineers, project managers, and so on, and really learned a lot about some of the great work you folks are doing here and elsewhere in Nevada, Hawaii, and all sorts of places, and really has a lot of respect for the kinds of things that you're doing. And he wanted to convey to me what a distinguished group it is here, too. We took a look at some of your attendees. I guess we have people in the audience from as far away as Australia, so that's impressive, and I appreciate all of you coming so far for this. We're very proud to have here today our own Mark Wills, who is Chief of Planning Division. Mark actually moved, who was there to my right earlier. There you are, Mark. and serves as co-chair of this conference. And we have a number of staff here from Riverside County Flood Control and Water Conservation District who are helping with this, and we thank all of you who are helping and help plan this, and we'll also make formal presentations and help coordinate a field trip to Eagle Canyon Dam that we'll talk about a little bit more. The Coachella Valley Water District, they also have a number of folks here participating, and we thank all of you for your help. And we want to personally thank Dusty Williams from Riverside County Flood Control and our Water Conservation District, and Jim Barrett from CVWD. I don't know if Jim's here, I haven't seen him, but if so, or anyone else from CVWD, thank you for all the work that you do in our area, because reducing flood risk and creating some sustainable floodplains is something that's very important in this area. We want to talk just a little bit about some of the flooding that's actually occurred out here, where we've had some very significant flood events in our area. And in fact, this week is the the anniversary of some very serious flooding that we had out here, some kind of microbursts in the eastern Coachella Valley. In fact, there was a member of my staff who was in the city of La Quinta, which is not far from here, for those of you who are not familiar with the area. And I was in Palm Desert, again, not far from here, where the weather looked pretty okay. And she called me from La Quinta, and she's in her car, and she's very sweet, soft-spoken, and mild-mannered, and tells me things aren't working very well, and there's some water, and I'm wondering if maybe her wiper blades aren't working right, the way she's describing it so mild. But in fact, her car was filling up with water, and she and her husband both had their cars destroyed in the city of La Quinta, and she ended up having to make her way to City Hall, which was nearby at that time, and just wait out the storm, because the whole city of La Quinta in that area was just covered with water, and their cars were a complete loss. And it hit like that. I was in Palm Desert looking out my window thinking, it looks pretty okay where I am. I'm not quite sure what she's talking about. But that flooding was devastating in that area, and the city of Indian Wells. It was also very devastating. We had lots of homes that were damaged in the area. And 3 years ago, in sort of what's known as the Mecca area, which is kind of a very poor part of the eastern Coachella Valley, we had really devastating floods 3 years ago, where lots and lots of farm worker families were devastated and forced out of their homes, and they have these old trailers that were just filled with mud, and it was really a huge event that required a lot of work from a lot of different entities to try to help those folks along there. We also had a pretty high-profile flood event here that you may have heard about not too long ago. Interstate 10, that runs, as you know, east-west through here and connects us all the way to Phoenix and beyond. There's an area between where we are now and the actual border with Arizona that washed out. A bridge called the Tex Wash Bridge, and that completely washed out, and people who traveled that thoroughfare, which is a very heavily traveled path, were not able to get through, and we had to do some pretty serious emergency work to try to get that pulled back together. And we had a local company called Granite Construction that worked with us to get that put back together, and it was devastating. There was actually somebody who was going across the bridge when it happened, and it was a close call. The two gentlemen in the car were safe in the end, but the whole thing washed out, and they were sort of hanging off the edge as that bridge, which nobody expected was going to be washing out, did, and they got about 6.7 inches of rain at that particular location. We also had some microbursts here in another area not far from here just last month that had power utility poles that normally would obviously go straight up and down, completely bent at a 90-degree angle or more as the strength of the winds and the storm and the rains went through there, and caused some serious power outages in an area where you're having over 110-degree days. So that's a little look at some of the things that we've had here. So we've been working very closely with Dusty and Mark and the rest of their staff and the rest of the county to try to prepare for El Nino or other flood potential risks that we have coming in the future. And we're excited to report that I think we've got a lot of good plans in the works, working with property owners to try to clear debris and help with all sorts of things that can hopefully keep us from having some of the real serious devastation. Also on Friday, you're going to get a chance to go with some of our Riverside County folks to Eagle Canyon Dam and tour what is really a source of great pride for the supervisor. This is a local project that provides some crucial flood protection for residents and businesses in what's known as Cathedral City. It's just a few miles from here. And prior to that construction, thunderstorms over some of the foothills in that area would just send water, sediment, and debris debris all over into the streets through there, and it was really devastating. A lot of major businesses, car dealerships, and others through there. So it took us many, many years to actually get the money and be able to pull that together, but we did. And so you get a chance to take a look at that later on Friday. And we want to thank FEMA and Army Corps of Engineers, Riverside County Flood Control, the Coachella Valley Water District, and all the cities for all of their efforts to try to help mitigate different flood hazards that we have here. So with that said, I just want to say we thank you very much. We really appreciate your presence here, your assistance, and also for those of you who have worked with federal entities and provided some investment, we certainly support that, and we appreciate all of your support that you do to help in our area. So on behalf of Supervisor Benoit, I want to thank you again for coming, and I trust that you'll be learning a lot over these next few days. And I hope you have a wonderful day and a great experience here in the Coachella Valley. Thank you very much.
And I enjoyed all your stories, but I must confess Bessie is probably going to stick. I'm pretty sure. I'd like to take a few minutes now to introduce you to your conference co-chairs, both Arid Regions and FMA. Their full bios are in your program if you'd like to read to a little more extensive degree about them. I'm going to give you a little introduction, and then a couple of them are going to come share a little bit with you on their thoughts. Alex Yeskis is one of our Arid Regions co-chairs. Alex has had great involvement with the Floodplain National Association. He's served on our annual conference planning committee. He's been on luncheon committees. He's been on our professional development committee. He's also presented not only at ours, but at 10 national and state conferences and workshops with many topics, including flood risk communication, floodplain management, and H&H methodology. If you have a chance to talk to Alex while you're here, that would be terrific. Now we have two more that are not up here right now, but I'm still going to share about them. Mark Forrest, are you here? Hi, Mark. Can you stand up so everyone can see you? We were going to have you up here. Thank you for being here. Mark also has a long history with the Floodplain Management Association. He has been involved for about the past 10 years. He's been on the board of directors. He's also been a past conference, not a conference co-chair, but the chair. He was Tom's plumber at one point as well. And we still have a close relationship. And currently he's also serving with ASFPM on the Foundation Board of Trustees. And Marty Teal. Marty, are you out there? Great, thank you for standing up. Marty is also one of the Arid Regions co-chairs, and Marty's with West Consultants right now. He has been involved with FMA also for many years, and Marty was also a co-chair. Excuse me, there I go again. He was one of our past chairs on the board of directors as well. And our fourth co-chair for Arid Regions is Jeannie Reefers, sitting right to my left. Right to my left. Yes, I should stand up. The only one we didn't make stand up was Alex. But Jeannie is also one of our past chairs, been very involved with Floodplain Management Association, and she's going to share a few words with you on her thoughts from the Arid Region's perspective. So please welcome Jeannie.
Good morning and thank you. I just wanted to share a few words about the Arid Regions Policy Committee, who is involved in this conference along with FMA. Thomas Plummer, the chair of FMA, invited the Arid Regions Committee of ASFPM to participate in this conference about a year ago, and because of the location of this beautiful low desert, typical, very atypical, or typical Arid Regions type of environment. The Arid Regions Policy Committee of ASFPM is really dedicated to serving the needs of floodplain managers in the arid regions of the United States, and taking the issues and concerns that are expressed by our members back up to ASFPM leadership and in order to be able to facilitate change and make policy impact. So if you are not a member of the Arid Regions Policy Committee and you work in the southwest of the United States, I would encourage you to participate in the committee. We've done some really interesting work in the past years, including developing some policy recommendations with regards to alluvial fans. We currently are working on a policy paper on riverine erosion zone issues. That's going to be presented at this conference later today. So I would encourage you to avail yourself of getting some information on that. The policy committees of ASFDM is really where the hard work of the association gets done. And Chad Bergenis, the executive director, I think would echo that. He's here today. I don't know if he's in the room this morning, but the policy committees really are where you have the ability to influence national policy with regards to floodplain management. And so, once again, I would encourage you to participate. It's really fulfilling. We have a very active committee. We conduct monthly conference calls. We have we have a list of about 400 or more members, but there's 20 or 30 people who participate in the conference calls regularly. So once again, it's an opportunity to have impact at a national scale, and I really appreciate the opportunity to be here today. So thank you all very much, and I hope you enjoy the Arid Regions track of the conference.
Now we have our FMA version of the Arid Regions Conference, and I'm going to introduce our two co-chairs, and each one of them is going to come up and share just a little bit with you about the conference. Bob Biesick is an engineer in the Mitigation Division of FEMA's Region 9 office in Oakland, California, where he is primarily responsible for the management of the Risk Map program throughout Arizona and Southern California. Prior to coming to FEMA in 2011, Bob worked as a water resources manager for the state of Minnesota, Department of Natural Resources, and as a zoning administrator for St. Croix County in Wisconsin. He has a bachelor's degree in both geology and civil engineering and a master's in public affairs. Bob, would you come up and say a few words? Please welcome.
Well, thank you. Now you at least know what I look like. That was the one benefit of coming up. Thank you, Mary. I'd like to thank FMA. It truly is an honor to be associated with this group. It's a great conference. I wasn't aware of all the hard work that goes into this. It really is. It really is a phenomenal effort. Thomas sent me numerous emails and conference calls. And I kind of liken it to, I'm from the Midwest and I'm not a sailor, but I kind of liken it to sailing. I went sailing out here and I thought, wow, what a great honor it is to go sailing. But all they wanted me to do was pull ropes. This is a lot like pulling ropes here, but in the end, it's very gratifying. This is a great crowd. I have a lot of friends out in the audience, a lot of my counterparts. FEMA strongly supports this effort. Most of the things we accomplish are through local units of government and the consultants that are out there. I know it gives me great energy in my job, to work with all of you. And FEMA supports that. The diversity, we have probably 15 folks here today from FEMA. We have our HMA, our grant folks, we have our floodplain management and administration folks here, and then the engineers and risk analysis branch. So we strongly support this effort. The conference theme, just a couple quick comments about that. I think it truly reflects the complexity of the world we live in, doing water resources management. Nobody can do it alone. And that's what we're all here to do, is to network and build those relationships. So again, supporting events like this helps us build those relationships and maybe get creative and do some good things. So thanks, Mary.
Thank you, Bob. Mark with the district in 1990 in the floodplain management section, and has subsequently worked in environmental regulatory services, municipal stormwater, administrative services, and development review. Mark currently manages a staff of 18 engineers and other professionals engaged in development review, plan check, drainage master planning, project development and feasibility, administrative services, and federal projects. Mark is a graduate of Cal Poly San Luis Obispo and resides in Temecula with his wife and 2 Labrador retrievers. Mark, would you come over and say a few words? Thank you.
Thank you, Mary, and good morning, conferees. So for many years now, FMA conference has been the one conference that I circle on my calendar as a can't miss type program. The reason for that is I feel I get the most benefit from the time spent and the presentations that are given, the high-level panelists that share their knowledge with us, both at the federal and state level and the local levels. This year was my first time ever being involved in planning a conference of any type, and boy, did I learn a lot. Very impressed and amazed by the behind-the-scenes effort, all the people, the attention to detail that's necessary to bring this conference together and put it on. So it's been my pleasure to be a part of that this year, and we're hoping that we will deliver another outstanding conference for you all. So, with that, back to you.